Cars 3? Sure. It'll only take me 6 months, but here it is now. Click below to watch the original Sense video.
Okay, here we go. Focus. Speed. I am speed.
Movie echoes back to the first film's opening because it doesn't have anything original to say. Also, narration.
One winner, 42 losers.
This is the same opening as the first movie, minus the Sheryl Crow.
Apparently, callbacks are a fucking sin now.
Well, I realize that it's pointless to start arguing yet again how the hell works in this world of talking cars. If one car pulls in between two cars like this, it's pretty much gonna them up, right? I mean, this is their physical body, their skin, essentially. And this is just squeezing right in between them, probably doing damage to the equivalent of major organs, just so he can watch a race.
Jeremy points out how pointless it is to complain about this sort of stuff, and then immediately proceeds to complain about it anyway. Seriously, if you're ever wondering how the biology of cars work, the answer is that Pixar does not give a flying fuck about it. Coincidentally, Flying Fuck was also the working title of the Planes movies.
Hey, Cal! Your blinker's on!
What? No, it's not. Hey! Your blinker's on!
Good comeback, Cal!
When have the top 3 players in any sport ever been this chummy? So maybe some of them were friends off the court, but they would never have this we're all in this together attitude during the fucking matches.
Hey, Bobby. Who is that?
He's a next-generation race car, inexplicably voiced by Armie Hammer.
Realizing that Storm is voiced by Army Cannibalism Fetish Hammer feels a lot different post-2021.
We've got 6 more next-generation rookies in the field.
This is as good a time as any for me to once again ask where these f***ing cars come from. Factories? Are they fitted with personalities in a factory? Did 2 former race cars have sex and create a more advanced race car? They're treated like individual people, but this whole next-gen nonsense suggests that they're just machines being created by some big-ass god car in the sky.
Given the usage of words and phrases like born and grow up, as well as the presence of kid cars, suggests that the cars are created like any other species in the real world, rather than being built at a factory. And if you really want to know how exactly that works, then feel free to go to the Cars Rule 34 page for some people's theories, but I'm assuming that you'll forgive this kids movie for not bothering to answer that question.
Cal Weathers, he's hanging up his light years.
No comment on that either.
Did a bunch of the Pixar creative staff get together and decide that doing a movie about retirement and getting older was what the kids today wanted to see?
Or maybe this was the story that they wanted to tell and thought would work as a good bookend to this series.
Thankfully, when Doc died, it was discovered his will specified that any of the townsfolk could enter his garage and watch his old racing films for inspiration.
Jeremy for some reason assumed that Doc lets anyone from the town enter his garage when the only person in here is Lightning, and considering how close they apparently were, Doc could have very easily have left this garage to Lightning.
I get that after the reception of the second Cars movie, the creators wisely realized that less Mater is better. However, couldn't they have tried no Mater?
Honestly, I think this movie uses Mater pretty well. He's not an inherently bad character, he just didn't work as a protagonist. In small doses, he can be pretty fun. Also, I like that he ends up giving Lightning the idea to go see Smokey through his own unique brand of intelligence, rather than how he was just accidentally-ing himself into whichever situation he needed to for the plot to happen, like in Cars 2.
Lightning McQueen, I'd like to introduce you to the multi-million-dollar flagship of interactive race simulation.
Multi-million? How much could Rusty's have been worth?
Given how they've been sponsoring the biggest car in the sport for the last 11 years, probably a lot.
I am fine, Cruz, I can do it!
This is the first movie all over again. Someone's trying to help him, but Lightning is too stubborn to realize it and accept that help.
Honestly, not really. Lightning has still grown quite a bit since the first film. He's still very hot-headed and prone to outbursts, but is now immediately apologetic about it. And I like that because it's shown that he's grown while still being realistic about he's still not perfect. I'm sorry, but how the fuck are cars supposed to be able to use squeeze bottles like this when they don't have hands?
Hey, what was my speed?
Can he not see the speedometer because his eyes are in front of the dash in the windshield? Can't really think of a reason why a car, sentient or not, would ever need to ask this question to someone else.
The answer to that first question you asked is yes. This is like wondering why humans can't see inside their own fucking head.
How'd I do?
You topped out at 198.
198? That's it?
Still slower than Storm.
Well, I'm no racing expert, and much has been made about the power of dirt on the tires, but maybe you should speed check yourself on asphalt instead of sand. Surface does make a difference, you know.
This is actually a pretty good point, but as this comment points out, if Lightning can go 198 on sand, then he should be able to go like 215 on asphalt, and from there, he wouldn't really need to push himself that much further to catch up with Storm.
That's what I need, to race against actual racers.
You need 10 to 15 more miles per hour speed. You are not going to get it through motivation. I mean, you probably will eventually because this movie hates me, but you should not get it through motivation.
I mean, if you've seen the end of the movie, you would know that this doesn't end up happening, so quit your bitching.
This entire movie is happening Lightning, when they could have just given him a new engine or some f***ing NOS.
These are cars, so giving Lightning a new engine would be like giving him a heart transplant, which seems a bit excessive for winning a fucking race.
Rule number 3, no cursing. It's family night.
F***ing goddamn dick bitch ass.
Despite being the most obvious joke you could have possibly made, this did make me laugh. It's not clever enough for a full-on sin removal, so here's half a sin off.
Look here, boys! We got us a couple of rookies.
I'd like to ask our editors, Brad and Chris, totally different Chris by the way, to find a transparent PNG of a middle finger being flipped, and add it to the next couple seconds of the movie footage while also animating it with keyframes to slide back and forth across the screen like a windshield wiper.
Okay, as you wish.
That's the I'm talking about.
So this was a pretty funny bit, but nothing in the footage you showed seems like it could have warranted this kind of reaction.
Right off the bat, the school bus and RV keeping up with Lightning is bull.
Not really, because in a race like this, there's so many more factors than just raw speed.
I used to watch you on TV, flying through the air.
Was he on pole vaulting with the car stars? Why would he be flying through the air during a car race?
Do you not remember this part of the first movie, when McQueen launched himself into the air? I sure do, because you sinned it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I yelled. It wasn't your fault.
Some people actually like this movie.
And I am one of them, so you can fuck off. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about why I like it. I'm gonna do a review of this movie, like I did for Monsters University, except instead of doing it at the end, I'm gonna just inject it right into the middle of the sinning, partially because I don't feel like anybody watched my Monsters University review, so this way I can force you guys to watch it. So, Cars 3. I remember when I first watched this movie, it made almost absolutely no impression on me, good or bad, especially after that insane first trailer that built up so much hype. I honestly think that the crash was better executed in the trailer than it was in the movie, largely because it was so unexpected, but also because it happened in the day rather than at night, which created a more interesting atmosphere somehow. Although I do think that the movie showing Lightning actually hitting the pavement, as well as Sally's reaction, did help the movie's version. That being said, upon rewatch, I actually really dug this movie. The whole message about how you can't keep doing the things you love forever really stuck with me. The things you're passionate about will always have to come to an end eventually, and that can suck, but that doesn't mean you can't still find solace in it by coaching others. This is the kind of thing that I worry about happening to me, and also kind of already has. When I was a kid, I used to have a really high singing voice, but because of the passage of time and the fact that I'm a guy, my voice has naturally gotten deeper, and now I can't hit the high notes that I used to be able to. But while that's frustrating, I can't really do anything about it anymore, so you kind of have to just accept it and move on. All of that is stuff that I wouldn't have been able to appreciate when I first watched this movie when I was 12. That being said, there is a bit of the Monsters University problem where the main character's appearance kind of contradicts the message a little bit. It's not as bad as that, considering how in MU, the message is directly about Mike's appearance and him not being scary, but it is still kind of hard to buy that Lightning is this aging racer when he looks exactly the fucking same as he did in the first movie. That being said, I do think Monsters University is a better overall movie than this, but back to positives. I thought Cruz was kind of annoying at first, but that was very much intentional, as that was exactly what Lightning had thought, with both him and the audience warming up to her over the course of the movie. Overall, I really liked it. There's some small changes you could make to create the best version of this movie, like having Lightning realize that Storm is basically exactly like he was when he was a rookie, or by having him bring in Cruz before the race started. I know they explain in the movie that this is within the rules, but that's the kind of thing that you need to establish earlier, because otherwise it feels like you're just making up new rules to keep the plot moving. Also cut that line at the end about, I'm gonna keep racing, because I thought the whole point of him was that he doesn't need to keep racing to be happy. You could still have him counted as a winner so that he doesn't need to shell out his image for Sterling, but having him decide to keep racing just feels like it flies in the face of the otherwise really good message. Anyway, those were my thoughts on the movie, so let's get back to sinning.
Lightning slams on the brakes here instead of just steering his car to either side of this truck on the track.
What do you mean his car? He is the car.
Wow, life's too short to take no for an answer.
Not sure this is the best message for kids without some context.
Yeah.
Racing wasn't the best part of HUD's life. You were.
Jesus, they got on the same page at the end of the first movie. Everyone in the world forgets the bullshit that is the second movie. Now suddenly they had a father-son relationship off-screen between movies, and Lightning was unaware of how happy this made Doc until he saw newspaper clippings.
This is another thing that I also thought of while watching this movie, so here's another send-off.
This tractor version of how Simba killed his father is supposedly teaching something to Lightning. Supposedly.
And that thing is about how to find the window between other cars on the track. This is explicitly mentioned in the movie.
Drafting? I've never had to do that.
Yeah. That's when you were fast. Now you're slow.
But couldn't they just add parts to McQueen to make him faster? They had to repair him after the crash, so why would adding a better engine or something along those lines be such a stretch?
Please refer back to what I said about how replacing his engine would basically be a heart transplant.
E.T. called, it's not flattered.
Apparently anything being framed against the moon looking how it would in that scenario constitutes an E.T. reference.
Lightning has a crisis of confidence right before the big race. There are only two ways this movie ends. He regains confidence, does that wall flip trick at Doc's and wins, or he loses but finds peace in retirement and starts training Jackson Storm. Or maybe Cruz. My money's on the last one, but either will feel cheap.
Why would it be cheap? Yeah, this isn't exactly the most groundbreaking story in the world, but there's nothing wrong with it. If you're gonna make a claim like this, then you're gonna have to explain why you rhino that at least once. And if you're wondering why I said rhino there, I was supposed to say think, but when I was writing this, I guess I must have accidentally typed an O instead of a K, or a R instead of a T, and I guess I, spell check auto-corrected it to rhino. And I thought saying rhino instead would be funny, so I decided to leave it.
Well, it won't be enough to catch Storm.
Considering he started dead last?
But how is he catching up with all these other cars? If they're the same variety and build as Storm, then wouldn't they be as fast as him?
This raises an interesting question. This is supposed to be like stock car races, right? But if so, then why would you have cars like Lightning competing against other cars like Storm that are just better than him in every single way? The movie will have you believe that Lightning is getting slower because of his age, but that would also be unfair. You can't just throw an aging athlete into a competition against someone at his prime and expect it to go well. Also, I feel like there's a Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson joke to be made there, but I couldn't think of one.
Hang on now.
Smokey knew they were about to add Lightning to the winners list before the Jumbotron changed. He's f***ing psychic.
Or maybe it's just because he's a professional racer and is likely familiar with how the rules work. But your theory about him being psychic works too, I guess.
And now you get to decide when you're done racing. So what's it gonna be, Stinky? Stickers?
Oh, I'm gonna keep racing.
I know I mentioned this in the review, but having Lightning decide to keep racing instead of recognizing that he's getting older and resigning to just training crews feels like it flies directly in the face of the message of the movie. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then why not leave a like or subscribe, or leave your mom's phone number in the comment section down below.